This is day 584 of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today is our second day on the Hilchos Eruvin. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming Shir more of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. Be greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Shem and Hey. You see him Beis through Ches. Is Rosh Hashanah? What is Rosh Hashanah? Because Brahman very page perk that you dollar. Kosh Kawel started Tvachim Baruch Arba Tvachim. Yes, okay. Anything which is at least 10 Tvachim high and 4x4 Tvachim wide. In the brackets, he says, a mound which is 10 feet high, but 4x4 width, with the length. Also a trench, hole in the ground. 10 feet deep, and 4x4 dimensions. Oh, yes, kind of more. So to a place which is surrounded by 4 walls, whose height is 10 feet, and between them there's 4x4. Oh yes, okay, no more. I feel yes. Well, come on, milin. Even there's several milin, several let's call them kilometers in, because that's roughly the equivalent of a mil inside that enclosure. If it is surrounded by this wall with the intent of making it suitable for habitation, such as a region, a district, which is surrounded by walls, whose doors are closed and locked at night, and also alleys or streets that have 3 walls, and a lechi in the 4th wall, a lechi meaning a post or pillar, as we shall learn, and also a courtyard, or a barnyard, or different type of barnyard, which are meant for habitation. I say habituation before? Habitation. They're complete. They're totally and completely Rishus Hayachid. Even something which is an object, like a boat, umigdal, or it's a closet, or a kaveris, or a hive, etc. They have those dimensions. Or Yosem Elzer, or more than that, Harehem Rishus Hayachid, they are complete and total Rishus Hayachid ad kan l'shono. End quote from the Rambam. Kimozeshikos, of that which he wrote, Im kaf l'dira, that if it was surrounded for the purpose, fenced for the purpose of habitation, it's ain't no Rishus Hayachid d'oraisa. That's really not necessary to be Rishus Hayachid d'oraisa. The Chein Chatzi b'dira sashkos l'dira, and so when he wrote that about the other types of enclosures, in the Torah Chiluk, there is no distinction whether it's hukaf l'dira or not hukaf l'dira. Since Ram used the lashon of a complete and total Rishus Hayachid, Klamar meaning the mutzah b'tzul to Rabbanan, one in which you're allowed to carry even midrabanan. That's required that it be enclosed for the purpose of habitation. It would seem also that which he said that a mavoi which has 3 walls and a lechi on 4 sides also seems to be the case. I mean, the Torah ain't circle lechi. Right, there's no need for the pillar or post. The 3 walls is enough to make a Rishus Hayachid d'oraisa. Even though it's true that most of our poskim hold, and it seems to be the case in Eruvin, that 3 walls suffice to make some Rishus Hayachid d'oraisa. But Rambam's own shita is that 3 walls without a lechi on the 4th side are not Rishus Hayachid d'oraisa, but rather Carmelis means the no man's land. They had a Carmelis because of Sham Movish Ein Lo Lechi Okora Ayin Sham, because he wrote that the definition of Carmelis is an alley which has no lechi or post or pillar or kora or beam, which we'll learn about as well, on the 4th side Ayin Sham. Perkins 19 test Kosa came in full. He wrote this explicitly. Mavui shechsher b'kara mavui, in which there's a beam on the 4th side. Even though you're allowed to carry in its entirety as a Rishus Hayachid, as already been told, Rishus Rabim tosses something into it, from it into Rishus Rabim, or Rishus Rabim or from Rishus Rabim into it. Potter, he's exempt. Shakora mishum heker yasuya. The Gemara says the Korah is a warning. Don't leave this lechi carrying something. But if the 4th side is rendered kosher by having a lechi, the post or pillar, and somebody tosses something in or out of Rishus Rabim from it, from it or to it, is liable the raisa. Shalechi arbahari kamich chitza baruch rabis. Lechi is like a wall on the fourth side. Akal l'shon. For guys to go with them, many people have complained about the Rambam's position on this. The Abu Kapani died okay. Oh, but as difficult as it is, that's his opinion. There's evidence for his position. Yiperakol Gagos. It says it's not there. A Korea which has been broken open into Rishus Rabim. Say somebody takes something in or out from the Chatzah to Rishus Rabim, vice versa. Your examination karmelis, because the Chatzah itself is a karmelis. So evidently, because it's busted open on the fourth side, so it's now no longer Rishus Yachid. It's only a karmelis. Amos shosh mechitzas have a karmelis. See, that three walls only make it a karmelis. Now Rishus Yachid. Aval bemas maskon v'marsham masik dezel rak amakam mechitza. This is only on the place where the wall used to stand. That there, where there no longer is a wall, the is considered to be like the size of Rishus Rabim, Ayin Sham. And that's the language of Yushalmi, which brings down the brackets. There's only talking about the place of the walls. When the corners there have been removed. There's also about this area which when you stand the wall, that is like Rishus Rabim. Argue kulam. But the rest of the kulam modi and Rishus Yachid, everybody agrees that's Rishus Yachid. Daled. From let me pronounce these words. The law al kol hadvarim amharkei. Arukh HaShulchan says, well, the Rambam does not seem to be consistent about this. It also seems to say elsewhere that three walls in Shusar Torah min Torah. But then that's only if those three walls are not perpendicular or adjacent to Shusar Rabin. Rakamakom Shli's name was Shusar Rabin, but the Arukh HaShulchan contends the Rambam is that in a place where in front of that Mavli, which has three walls, there's a real Rishus Rabim. That makes Rishus even on the Raisa level. There's no, it's not fenced with some interruption called Belechi or Korah or Gifufin, such as the post or pillar or the beam across or some sort of extensions of the walls. Because the masses very often spill into the Chatzar. The Mavi, private domain. Even the Raisa is like a no man's land. And that's what the Rambam writes in the parameters of Karmelis. If you have a corner which is adjacent to Rishus Rabim, it has three walls surrounding it. Baruch Harvi in the fourth side, who Rishus Rabim, the fourth side is Rishus Rabim. Such as an alley which has doesn't have a pillar post or a beam. He writes. The Gamkin also plays have three walls. And the fourth side is opposite Rishus Rabim. He's precise in writing Ruach Havi to Rishus Rabim, because the fourth side is Rishus Rabim, but opens up to Rishus Rabim. The reason is because then the people Rishus Rabim spill into the Chatzar. And the sources from the case of the Kol Gagos which you brought. Even though the Machlokes there was only on a place where the wall once stood. This Gemara says as follows: this is Rabbanan said Rabbi Lezer. Milo Kamari Slan Hechel the Tilta Mitachos Shus Rabim Mitocha the Potter Nation Karmas. Do you not concede as to where you took from Shus Rabim from inside that Chatzar into Shus Rabim, whatever it is. The Chatzar Mavi to Shus Rabim Mitocha from the Shus Rabim into it. The Potter Nation Karmas is exempt because it's a Karmelis. Hachanami v'chuli ayin sham. Here too, it's the same thing. Um, so Taisus nidchuhu lefarish. Taisus says a difficult interpretation in that Gemara. That's talking about where the side walls fell. So after that, chotzer is no longer true chotzer. Avram Mavarish Pashti. Avram explains it in simple meaning. That is still chotzer. But since it's completely open, so therefore it can't be a Rishus HaYochid because the Bnei Rishus HaRabim spill into it. Pisa Gam Rambam Mavish Yesh Shosh Mechitzos. For Rishus HaRabim, Rishus HaRabim, if you have Dofra Pruta. Also, if you have an alley which has 3 walls and Rishus HaRabim is not adjacent to the open wall, but it's behind one of the existing walls. You can see that Rishus HaYochid. Zargimel Rishus HaRabim, if you through from it into Rishus HaRabim, for it Derek Pesach alone through an opening in or a window in the wall, Chayiv is liable to Raisa. He says in brackets, Mitzvasi Chaver. Ramach Sheviak Mission Perkins 9 Lochtes Ein Shom Shnir Shekain Night of Duch. Ramach is the number 2 basing on the Rambam after the Ravid, but his so the Ramach I guess says that that's the either the Ramach says that some Shai Shan the Rambam I don't know, but the Ramach says something similar to Arukh HaShulchan. Bir Alocha brings the Rambam generically that a place which has 3 walls is a carmelist, and he says that some people say that that it's only if the 4th side is open to Rishus HaRabim that it's not a Rishus HaYochid, and therefore, in fact, like it points out here, he does agree with the Arukh HaShulchan in this. Hey, Davar Barur, it's clear. That which require 4 tefachim length and width of Rishus HaYochid. This is in the cavity. They don't measure the width of the wall within the 4 tefachim. Between the walls is 4 by 4. In the cavity within the walls has to be 4 by 4. All the poskim write accordingly. The back and the ties right that the walls are also included in the measure of 4 tefachim. They did do Mashakasvu had tasted the Rosh Berakam the Shabbos, and they inferred this from what the Taisel Rosh wrote in the first part of Shabbos about Gabi Kaveris by the hive, which is really an oversized basket, very oversized basket. Shadfanas Mitzarfus Chalal Kaveris, that the walls of the oversized basket or hive join with the cavity of the hive, L'Rochav Arba, to make a width of 4, Ayin Sham. Udvorim Tuimim. This is astonishing. The Vale Rishus HaYochid the Keli. In the Rishus HaYochid, which is in a vessel, Sheinu Shaykh L'Shtamish L'Socho Kiver Rishus. You can't really use it, the inside of it like Rishus. A platform can be placed upon it and you can use it that way. Like the case of a well with its walls, which are above ground in Erevin. We say that the walls of the well join up to make it 4 by 4 as well. The fire shatam reason is because you can put something on top of it and use it. And therefore it's like a stone which is 10 high, 4 by 4 in dimensions. But between walls, where the use is within the walls, clearly we need that the cavity be 4 by 4. Very strong language. No, there's no doubt about it. So the only time we say by 4 includes the walls is where the Ikar Tashmish would be above the walls, not where the Ikar Tashmish is within the walls. You should know I saw somebody, the earlier Rabbah says here, Shevi Mashkos of Rashi say about this HaKodesh, the Mechit says the Mitzdarfus La'arba, that the Rashi says that the walls joined by to make 4 by 4. El Shchilek drew a distinction, I guess earlier Rabbah drew a distinction, maybe Rashi himself there, the Zel Davka Mechitzos Brios, that's only by strong walls. Shim Rasul Chasos Lo Michsem Mishtamesh, that you can cover them with a cover and use them on top. Have a solution, aim and staffing, high jump. But weak walls, they don't join in the 4x4. Nei sefers that ain't tachas yodi. Back in the old days, not so easy to get Avodas HaKodesh. I have an Avodas HaKodesh on my shelf, and of course on any database nowadays you can get Avodas HaKodesh, but back then it was different. Omnami Kosav Kain, Kavanaso Akelim. If he wrote that, it's got to be his intent was on vessels. Shekain Kosav Berakam Shabbos, it's got to be Kaveris, Shady Diver Toisus. That's because that's the case we just brought about the hive. Chitzos Kaveris Mitzarvas Larba, that's the walls of the hive joined up to 4x4. The Kosav Zev Sholem. I guess the Rabbis writing about the Rashba. Vanit mi al divrei mchulei el korchein lomer el b'ksolim avim asim chasos leim shtamesh mashe enkim b'kaveres umachzeles ad kalashono. So he wants to say on the contrary. He says only thick. The early Rabbis says only thick walls. You could say you can put something on top of them and use it, and therefore you measure 4x4 including the walls. But by a hive or mats. Can't say that because they're too weak. Besides, this is astonishing. Lamar from the karka that with the walls standing on the ground. Medium mishtamish. I don't know. It seems that the early Rabbah seems to say the opposite of Arukh HaShulchan. Well, but that is what the Avodas HaKodesh said. It says mechitzas brios, his works, chalushos emitzarfos. I'm not sure. But maybe the Arukh HaShulchan does not like this distinction. Maybe that's not Eliyah Rabbah speaking. Maybe it's the Tais. The Rashba, the Tais is speaking. Tais the Mechitza Gaves Mistafas Arba. Maybe that's a Rabbah asking on the Taisvis. It's not clear to me what exactly is going on in the safe. I think maybe the Rabbah is asking the Taisvis. But the Arukh HaShulchan Zion says that either way, the dover there, levad zeh dover tamur. Besides this astonishing lamar b'chitzas al karka, that walls are standing on the ground, manachalei midu mishtamish. They're measured by putting a platform on top of them using the top. Attachments to tochos. Walls on the ground are made to use inside, not on top. The daf concludes the bore only where they're talking about the bore B-O-R-E of the well. Where people evidently, when they want to, they do use the top of the board and they put something up platform on top in order to use it. Okay, on a vessel, Shmuel. Pasuk brings down the tifros al eskam masach al pnei be'er. They spread the cover on the top of the well, but the shtachal of a rifos, and they put upon it the that's some sort of thing they were pounding. I forget what it was. They're talking about there. Anyway, but it would not be concerning walls on the ground. Furthermore, the width of 4 and more than 4 are equivalent. Just I can't say you put something on it and use it where it's more than 4, because there's a limit to how much platform you're going to make. So they can say by larger dimensions, so you can say it by 4. The Mishnah says, Omer Sham ha'omid v'chalom mitztarfim barba. The wall and cavity joined to make a 4 tvachim. By 4 tvachim, Mushia made meruba chalom. That's if they're thicker walls than there is of the cavity. Ein Sham. So in the walls on the ground also would have to be thicker walls than the cavity. Is there anything more astonishing than to be such a scenario? The bracket says, wide dimensions. Evidently, hives are different. Maybe they are come to he comes to attack the Tosis. Rashba does not hold by Mechitzas that this is the principle. The local Mashkas Rabba. And then the other rabbis writes whether it is the Rashba's quoting, doesn't read the Rashba's quoting, that it's by thick mechitzos, you do say it's a platform, and by high you go by the platform, and by size of platform you put on top. By high, if you don't go by size of platform, you put on top. But the Arukh HaShulchan holds the exact opposite, and says the thickness of the walls is only relevant if there's more wall than there's cavity between them. And then you could say put a platform on top. It's a very rare case. It's only by Chuyas Sabor, by the well, you would have such a thing. And Kaveretz, on the contrary, for some reason, Kaveretz is different, even though it might have weak walls. For some reason, the reason they will put platforms on it and use it that way, I guess because you cover a beehive, and therefore that's what makes the Shus HaYachid. Ches, if people became and Komolishim start from Ovi L'Rochav Tvachim. Even by Kalim, like the hive, there are those who don't agree that you take into account the walls in the fourth volume. What should they do? Shrash B'Chelik was in. Rash argues, the Chinkas Lo Teisim, Shem Ra. You have to have a cavity of fourth volume within the hive. So shall see Bavkas who feel kliko table migdal, even a vessel like a box or a closet. If it has within it enough to make a square 4x4, it's 10 fucking high. They left unspecified ima opening with styrofoam lab where the thickness combines or not. It says it's clear that it's not styrofoam. But then he says and say that if it can have fourth volume, but putting a platform on top, even if there's a fourth volume cavity, usually machman considered to Shus HaYachid for that purpose. And I guess the other way for some reason also. Mishabur doesn't distinguish between a Shus HaYachid of a Kalim and a Shus HaYachid of walls standing on the ground. And he writes the language of Shulchan Aruch, it's clear that the Mechitzas don't join up to 4x4. That's the opinion of most poskim. But there are some Rishonim who write that they do join. And he brings the Rashba, the distinction between strong Mechitzos and weak Mechitzos. In the end, this thing concludes. Sidak Roinim that agree that all this is in terms of being close to Yachid on the thickness of the walls on top. But for the cavity within the mechitzos, it's not kosher siyachin as long as there isn't within that cavity 4x4.